What's going on, Diablo 2 fans? Dabrunski here, and today I'm going to be going over the ultimate Pindle running character in Diablo 2, and that is the Pindle Zerker. It's a very similar character to the Pit Zerker. It's just basically you're running Pindle non-stop. The Barb's item find puts this character's efficiency through the roof compared to other dedicated Pindle running builds. And I am going to go over sort of a budget-based version of this character and a high-end geared character, because I do get a lot of comments on my videos asking for more budget-based focused builds. So the really cool thing about this build is it is viable using a budget barbarian. So guys, I really hope you enjoy this video, but let's jump in. Alright guys, so there's a few brief overview points that I want to cover about this character before I go into more detail about the build. And the first thing is that I'm not going to be covering the skill tree at all for this character. I do have a previously made video on my YouTube channel. It's a Pit Zerker video, and the skill tree in that video, which I go into in depth, is exactly the same as this character. So I have a link for that video in the description below if you want to check it out for reference to the skill tree. The second thing is that I'm going to, like I mentioned earlier, I'll cover budget and expensive versions of this character because a lot of requests for making more budget-based builds. And the final thing is that this is a single-player focused character on Players 1 difficulty. I don't think a lot of people grasp the concept, but Pindle is a super unique monster in Diablo 2, and super uniques drop 2 items no matter what the player's difficulty setting is. So players 1, 3, 5, or 7, it doesn't matter. Pindle will always drop 2 items. And he can also drop every item in the game except for Tyrell's Might, Arachnid's Mesh, and Azarath, but that's just, I think a lot of people know that. But upping the player's difficulty setting is only going to decrease the no drop rate on Pindle's minions, and I would really only recommend it on a character like a Javazon, because Lightning Fury can wipe out Pindle and all of his mobs, no problem. But anyways, those are the 3 overview points that I wanted to cover, so we'll jump into the character attributes now. So as far as your attributes go, it's basically along the lines of Max Vita, but it's just tweaked a little bit, and it's kind of tweaked in terms of efficiency. So the first thing, strength, is just the bare minimum requirement to wear your gear. I have a Dust Shroud Enigma, so I think it's 70 or 77 strength. I don't remember offhand, so I just have the bare minimum requirement to wear my gear. As far as vitality goes, instead of being Max Vita, I just put in enough vitality points so that I have 3,000 health with the Battle Orders buff. So it's going to vary depending on your gear, how many Warcry or how many plus skill points you have. But basically I have 373 vitality points, so I have 1,829 health, and then when I bow up before the Pindle run, I have 3,000 health. That's enough for me, and then the remaining points I chucked into dexterity just to boost my attack rating, so higher chance to hit Pindle, so I'm not having as many missed hits, so it's, you know, quicker to kill Pindle, faster, quicker runs for long-term efficiency. Like if you did 1,000 runs at 30 seconds versus 1,000 runs at 20 seconds, obviously you're going to be a lot more efficient, right? So that basically wraps up the attributes. So we'll jump into the gear now for this character. All right, so we'll start off with some godly gear. I did go through all these pieces. I did kind of break them down in the Pit Zerker video, so I will go over them, but I'm going to try and be relatively quick about it, not spend all kinds of time explaining each gear choice and selection. But the main hand, I'm using Grief and a Phase Blade. It's just awesome for fast attacking, all kinds of damage. And then I'm pairing that with a 6-isted Phase Blade. I get 180% Magic Find carrying the 6-isted Phase Blade on the offhand. So that's just an awesome, insane boost to Magic Find. And then on switch, I'm using 2 Wizard Spikes. When you dual wield them, you get 50 faster cast rate on each one for a total of 105 FCR. Sorry, a total of 100 FCR, and then we want to go for that 105 FCR. So that's where the amulet comes in. This is a 2 to Barb skill, 8 faster cast rate, 15% Magic Find caster amulet. The 2 to Barb skills is nice, but really any +5 FCR Magic Find Caster Amulet will work. And the cool thing about Caster Amulets is, yeah, this is probably a sort of hard one to roll. It's not godly, but the crafting recipe is really easy. You should be able to craft some kind of Magic Find Faster Cast Rate Amulet for a budget version of this character. Shouldn't be too hard for you. The helmet I'm using, well, the helmet and boot combo here is I'm using the 2-piece Immortal King combo set. I have 2 perfect topazes in the helmet for a total of 83% Magic Find. And then the helmet also gives me 2 to War Cries. And then I pair that with Immortal King boots. They give me faster run walk, attack rating, life, and 25% Magic Find. So it's a cool little 2-piece set combo. As far as different sort of high-end alternative gear options, you could use a Isted Shaco, which is awesome. I mean, health, mana, Magic Find, it's a good helmet to use. And then you could use War Travelers. War Travelers could get you more Magic Find. But yeah, that's really probably the most common choice of gear for the helmet and boots. Now for the rings, I'm using 2 30% MF Nagel rings. This one has 65 to attack rating, and this one has 67. Ideally, you'd want to have 70 plus attack rating rings and 30% Magic Find, but those are pretty tough to find. Now the belt, things kind of get a little interesting, sorry, with the belt. I'm using gold wrap on this character. Now the cool thing about running Pindle is you don't have to have a source of Cannot Be Frozen. He's seldom cold enchanted, so having a source of Cannot Be Frozen will help with if he's cold enchanted, but if he spawns with a Holy Freeze aura, you can't negate that with Cannot Be Frozen, so it's really optional if you have to have a source of Cannot Be Frozen or not. I've actually played around with both combos using Trang's Belt to negate the Cannot Be Frozen and Gold Wrap to not. It's really up to you. It's more kind of personal preference, but I just wanted to point that out there that you don't have to use a source of Cannot Be Frozen, so you don't have to run a Champ Shago or anything like that. Now the body armor, I'm using Enigma. 2 to all skills, 45 faster run walk, Magic Find. It's really good for efficient runs. I will go over later a couple budget options, but for the godly version, we're using Enigma. Now things kind of get a little interesting with the gloves. I've played around, I've used Chance Guards before. Chance Guards, 40% MF, but we have 700 plus MF, so it's not a big deal if you change the gloves. So I have played around using Ghoulhide heavy bracers. They're a cool glove that give you a big boost of damage to the undead and attack rating to the undead, so it's pretty cool. There is actually a noticeable difference using these gloves versus Chance Guards for the amount of hits it takes to kill Pindle. So yeah, it's up to you. If you want a little bit more damage, you could use Ghoulhide, MF, you could use Chance Guards. Totally up to you, totally optional. Now, as far as the inventory goes, I'm just using an Annie Charm. This one's 19-19-6. Torch is a 15-18 Barb Torch, and then I have a 39 Magic Find Geeds, and then I have different assorted 7% Magic Find small charms. I think one of them's a 6, if I can find it here. 777. There's 2 6s, so that's a plain 6. 635 attack rating, and then I'm not even carrying a Tomb of Town Portals. I'm just using TP Scrolls to get 14 more MF. Using 2 more small charm slots, and then I just, you know, pick up stuff, throw it in the cube, and identify it. If you really want to, you can chuck the Tomb of Identify as well, and then you can just specifically only farm for uniques, like you're not checking rares, and then you can just have Deckard Cain identify, like a, you know, if a unique diadem drops or something. You don't have to carry a Tomb of Identify, but you're really splitting hairs at 700% Magic Find at that point. But yeah, that pretty much covers the godly version of this character. So now we'll spend a little bit of time going over a few different budget options for gear selection. So let's take a look at a couple budget options, because I have had a lot of requests for more budget-based characters. So yes, Enigma and, you know, rocking dual wizard spikes on Switch, teleporting to Pindle, that's ideal. But this character can still stack a lot of Magic Find and still farm Pindle relatively efficiently using very, very budget gear. So I'm just going to go over a few different options. Now, the first thing I want to talk about, I don't actually have any, and I don't feel like shopping for them for this video, so I'm sorry. But you can shop Akara, or, you know, a vendor, and you can try and get +3 to Battle Orders Warcry sticks. So you could use those on Switch. So if we're running, we don't have Enigma, when we hit the red portal to go to Pindle, you can rock 2 +3 to Warcry sticks, and you can instantly get +6 to your Battle Orders. That way, you don't have to have like Hodo on Switch. It's a really simple way to get a +6 boost to your Battle Orders. So that's the first thing I wanted to cover. Now, in terms of some different budget body armor options, you don't have Enigma, that's fine. You could use something like a Skulders. Skulders, you still get a plus point to skills, and you even get more Magic Find on this than Enigma. So I have 90 with Enigma, this Skulders has 112, and you could even punch a hole in it and get more Magic Find with a perfect Topaz. Now, you might be saying, well, I don't have Skulders. Well, that's fine. You could even go as budget as a 4 perfect Topaz gemmed body armor. Now, it's not ideal, but it will still work, and you still get Magic Find. Now, for your helmet, like I said, I don't think an Immortal Kings with 2 perfect Topazes is that rare of find, but if you really want to go budget on the helmet, you could rock something like this, which is a 3 perfect Topaz gemmed Great Helm, or any other 3 open socket helmet. You can get 72 Magic Find that way. It still works. It's not ideal, but whatever, it works, right? Now, we talked about different glove options. You could use Chance Guards. These are perfect 40 MF Chance Guards, but you can rock, you know, 20, 25, 30 MF Chance Guards. You don't have like Ghoul Hides or whatever, that's fine. You can use these. Now, another cool thing is that I'm sure not everybody has a 6-isted Phase Blade on Switch, right? I mean, 6 ist runes, that's a lot of ists. It is awesome, 180% Magic Find, but you might not have that sort of gear. You can always rock something like this. This is a Rhyme and a Pivez base, however you pronounce it, sorry. Gives you Cannot Be Frozen, Magic Find. It's a really cool shield rune word for just a shield and Eth rune. Really budget and works well for this build. Now, a couple options. You don't have to use Grief. You can use a rune word like Oath. You could make Oath in a Ethereal Belrog base, or if you don't have it, non-Eth base, whatever. A rune word like this will work. It's not going to work as good as Grief, but it is a different weapon alternative option. Or if you don't have the base, you can't make Oath, you could use anything like any type of elite unique weapon. Anything works really, because you're getting a lot of damage from Berserk, which is magic damage, so you don't have to have Godly Grief or whatever to make this character work. So yeah, that covers a few different budget gear options, I hope, for a lot of the requests that I get. So the last thing is we'll take a look at the Merc Gear, and then I'll show you runs budget style and Godly Gear styled doing Pindle. Now, there's a lot of kind of variability that you can pick is in terms of gear selection with your mercenary, because it doesn't really matter except for the weapon that he's using. So we'll dive into that first. Insight in an Ethereal Thresher for the Meditation Ore for mana recovery. It's just nice for teleporting. If you have the budget version of this character, I guess you don't really have to use Insight, but I mean, you can even make Insight in like an exceptional polearm base, like a Battle Scythe or whatever it's called. Non-Eth, it doesn't matter as long as you get that Meditation Aura for the mana recovery. That's really what we want. In terms of the armor, I'm just using Wealth and a Ethereal Archon Plate for 100% extra Magic Find. You could use Tal's Armor, Skulders, Treachery, whatever you want, as long as you don't have a source of cold damage, because we don't want to be shattering corpses. But any source of extra Magic Find is nice. Any Magic Find that your mercenary has stacks on yours. So I currently have an extra 123% magic find between insight and wealth. So, you know, I have 700 plus on my barb. If my merc gets the kill shot, it jumps up to 800 and something. So this is the gear selection that I'm using. For the helmet, I'm just using Crown of Thieves with a 15% increased attack speed, lightning res jewel. It's just a cool helmet. Helps him attack a little bit quicker, and it helps caps his fire and lightning resistances, sorry. In general isn't really that huge for Pindle, but it's just nice if he has Holy Fire or Holy Shock or something like that. Just the important resistances are capped for this mercenary. But yeah, really quick summary, that's basically the Merc Gear. So now we'll dive into some example runs. Now these runs do take a little while to get dialed in, but it's kind of, once you've done a few hundred, you'll get it really razor sharp or tuned in. I'm still not quite there yet, but you basically run to the portal, hit yourself with bow, and then you teleport to the very far corner before the entrance. You like teleport yourself right in the corner, switch to Howl, and then the minions should, the majority of the time, all scatter, and just Pindle comes to you. So I'll try and show you a few examples so you get the idea. So right there we have just Pindle and his one minion. So you kill them. Corpse explode, or sorry, item find, yeah, corpse explosion. Necro Pit Zerker. So you can see that that run, he was cold enchanted. It did slow you down a little bit, but, or did slow me down a little bit, but it's not a big deal. You can just run, fill yourself up at a car again if you want. But he's not always cold enchanted, so it's not generally a big deal. Same idea in the corner there. Isolate Pindle. That's 4 items. Junk gloves. But he drops 2 items, and then if you get the item find, that's 4 items, or basically 2 kills. So you get the idea how over time a character build like this will be really efficient. So we'll just see if we can do 2 or 3 more runs here dialed in. Okay. One more run and you guys will get an idea. Now this is very boring, but super effective. And we'll finish up at the very end with, we'll do like a budget run example. Okay, item find, we didn't get anything there, but we get the point. Should anyways. So now we'll just do what you're going to be doing with a budget version of this character. It's kind of the same idea. You're not teleporting, obviously, but battle orders, then just run up to Pindle, kind of run here. Then Pindle will come to you, switch to your main hand, and item find. Now, obviously, I am using Grief. I didn't switch out to budget gear, but you get the point. You're not teleporting the corner. You're just kind of running up to Pindle, doing your Howl thing. Oops.
A coward's hiding place.
There, so just Pindle comes to us. You get the idea. That is the Pindle Zerker wrapped up. Now, I know a lot of explanation going into it, but hope you guys enjoyed the video. This character is so effective. I literally cannot stress how effective he is. With a high level item find, he's gonna have like a 50% chance, 50+% chance of getting an item find. So basically every Pindle run you're doing is like 1.5 Pindle runs. So over the course of, you know, like 200 Pindle runs, you're gonna be doing or have a lot higher percent chance of finding items or getting a good drop using that item find versus other characters like the Blizz Source or Pindle running Javazon, that kind of thing. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you could throw a like on it or share it with your friends. I would appreciate it. I do post new weekly videos, highlight videos, build videos, top 10s, all that kind of thing, all that kind of stuff, sorry. And I do stream once or twice a week as well, so always new content to look forward to on this YouTube channel. So I would appreciate your support with a subscription. Other than that, hope you guys have a great week or a great night, time zone thing, wherever you're at. Anyways, guys, thank you so much, and I will see you on my next YouTube video or my next stream. Have a good one.